Greetings everyone, my name is Buck Business. Konnichiwa, I'm Kawaii Critic, and today we're here to review the My Little Pony Season 7 finale, Shadow Play Part 1 and 2. Spoiler alerts ahead, even though this is perhaps one of the weakest season finales of all time. So, we begin this episode with Star Soul-san narrating the ways of the old times where they were the original elements and how Stygian-san was this other pony that helped them come together but ended up, according to Star Soul-san, being a thief. And how he turned into the Pony of Shadows! Ooh. So Sunburst-san finishes off the story, leaving Celestia-san and Luna-san all worried. So they figure that these legends are real, and Twilight and Sunburst are excited about this. They're able to do research, which is their natural habitat, or one of them at least. And for whatever reason, Twilight starts to struggle to read what Star Swirl had been putting down, as if to say that his writing got worse and worse as he progressed writing it, because she was able to read prior stuff but couldn't continue. Again, a little bit confusing there, but whatever. So Starlight-san is able to read the rest because the plot needs to move forward, and they learn about Ponehenge. The team, once they arrive, seem to have no answers of how to set this off, but Twilight-san, as about to giving up, puts the book down, and it just so happens to be put down in the exact place it needs to be put down in order for the plot to continue once again. And they see the Pony of Shadows for themselves. Now, the Pony of Shadows introduction with his symbiotic-like nature is a pretty cool intro. However, I would also argue that his actual design is the weakest design of any other villain on the show. And that kind of goes along with his attitude as being kind of just generic and bland. And it kind of halts the rest of the episode, really, because there could have been a lot to fix this. But we'll get to that in a little bit later on in this review. So, anyways, Twilight-san mentions how she wants to specifically save Star Swirl-san, but Starlight-san is unsure about all this because it involves going through time, at least according to her, and that would cause bad things to happen. Applejack-san even mentions how, yeah, what about the other pillars, but does not mention the Pony of Shadows for whatever reason. So, they begin to collect the artifacts. Applejack goes after the shovel, and claiming that Rockhoff was real, while this other pony was arguing with her that it couldn't possibly be real, but then she'd prove something of strength to prove that it could possibly be real. Then we move over to perhaps the most bizarre thing I've ever seen My Little Pony do, and that's ruin a episode in its entirety, and I'm talking about Mistmane's story. Now recall that in her story that she used her magic and sacrificed her age to restore the area around her. Rarity does this magic and she sweeps off everything in the area, but she doesn't age at all, making Mistmane's sacrifice mean absolutely nothing because it was absolutely unnecessary for her to do. So thanks for that episode. Meanwhile, Rainbow-san and Spiky-kun go for the shield. Spiky-kun wins via pure luck by falling into the finishing line, and Garble-san meets up with him and goes kind of stupid and wants a rematch anyways. But before that, Gabra-san goes after Spike-kun, leaving Rainbow-san to save him. So Garble claims if they win, I should say, that he will give them the shield. I think that's how the line went. And if he wins, he will give it to him, meaning the shield. So wait a minute, Garble was gonna give them the shield regardless, so what was the point of all of this? These lines are absolutely nonsense. And furthermore, they just tell him to go up without the shield, and then they just leave. So it was even more pointless. Thanks for that episode. Meanwhile, Fluttershy-san helps Cattail-san do his thing with the flash bees, and then Pinky-san goes in the green gooey stuff, and she was in that, sub-tank or whatever it was, and she gets out and she's like touching the green ick. So does that mean the green ick in itself wasn't even that bad, or what? After that, Starlight once again warns Twilight that this is probably a really bad idea. But Sunburst also going with Twilight on this one, figuring, oh, that's impossible. So they do the trio magic. And once again, the Shadow Pony has a really nice intro. It's just a shame that he looks incredibly lame. So Star Swirl-san's magic fails, and the Pony of Shadows magic is able to destroy the pillars, making sure that they can't send them back that way. So Starlight-san helps Twilight-san, and then the Shadow Pony just leaves. So Star Soul perceives to be mad at Twilight-san for making this grave mistake, and she feels all guilty over it, and I guess she should have, since it kinda was her fault. So Pinky mentions all of the villains, but mentions none of them being reformed with the exception of Starlight. But Star Swirl, for whatever reason, doesn't take any of what she just said into account. Like, oh, this character right here was reformed, and Star Swirl's like, whatever, this character can't be reformed because he betrayed us. Which is so bizarre, considering what was just said. So, anyways, he talks about how the old main six, I guess we'll call them, infuse their magic to create this castle and make the new elements of harmony. Twilight-san feels sad after trying to create a plan, but it's quickly, I think that at this point, she makes a plan a little bit later on, but she's just sort of sad that she leaves. And she's reading into some books, and then they make a reference to the movie, out of all things, talking about sea pony etiquette, and how, she just kind of shrugged it off, because it had nothing to do with the situation at Hoof, as it were. So Starlight kind of goes about how she knew this was a bad idea. And the old six get ready to make their sacrifice once again. Up until now, Twilight decides to have a new plan. So she goes over how they'll use the elements to, put them away or something along those lines. They end up going to a few locations and then end up at the Hollow Shades. Or they eventually get there. But before that, Twilight-san is super excited when Star Swirl finally acknowledges this thing that she does. So this kind of gets Starlight Sun talking to the other legends, or the classic main six, about how, how things used to be. And we get to see the sirens once again, and they get sent away into the Equestria Girls movies. And yeah, that's a thing that totally happens. At any rate, we see that Stygian, again, stole, quote unquote, stole these items, and how his transformation went about when he went away to look for something and found the darkness. Once again, his transformation, good. His actual look, not so good. So, we see that Star Swirl was, along with all the others, doing their thing, and that made Stygian envious. So, Starlight Sun hears how he can't possibly be reformed, because that's absurd. And this gets her upset, and really goes at it at Twilight-san, because Twilight-san was able to give her a chance, while it seems like Star Swirl-san wouldn't have done that. So they all go to the tree and get their elements back, and they instantly head over to the Hollow Shades. From there, the Shadow Pony drops them down, and then the Shadow Pony tells them how he'll take over the world and his evil plan, blah blah blah. It's the same old sad story. And I suppose this would be a good time to go over how this could have been better. So, one thing he very briefly talks about is bringing despair among other ponies. And I thought it would have been a bit more interesting if, while it would have made him a bit more like Discord, making him, this Shadow Pony, able to manipulate others through despair rather than just typical ha ha ha, I'm going to roll over everything. Again, just a small tweak of that nature I think could have gone a long way in helping this character at least stand out from a characteristic sort of standpoint other than being generic villain. We see Twilight-san go inside the shadow after seeing Stygian-san, and how he talks about wanting to have had the others respect that being the classic main six. And this part is actually pretty good. And how he welcomed the darkness when no one else would accept him. This part of the episode is really, really good. It just kind of sucks that the rest of the episode is so stupid and so unnecessarily bad in order for us to get to this really good ending. It's like the only good part of this episode. So Starlight joins Twilight and talks with him as well, and they are able to pull him out via magic. And the others join in, helping pull out Stygian from the shadow. And the shadow is then thus banished into limbo. So we hear pride-clouded Star Swirl, and how he needs to make all of his apologies. Celestia and Luna get to talk with Star Swirl for just a bit, and he says that he's gonna go about and see what has become of this world, as he gets to just now sort of just stay here with the rest of the classic legends who are also able to remain along with Stygian, which is, again, a bizarre thing in all of its worth. And Twilight-san feels that though meeting her idol, she assumed that this would be her everything, her every moment she could have ever possibly wished for, that somehow clouded her ability to remember anything smart and what she knew. But she's so grateful that Starlight Sun was able to be there and exist and be in this moment to help her realize that all the stuff she knew was there all along. She just had to take the time to actually think. And that is about it. Yes, this episode, or 2 episodes, I should say, are really, really rushed. And really, I think this could have ended up being a 4-part episode, or even possibly a 3-part episode, because it feels like there's so much missing. And while every character has a very, very small role, very indicative of the movie almost, it does feel like it ruins other moments and other parts that built up to this, while also having a villain that just isn't very interesting. He's just so boring and so generic. And once we meet Stygian, who I consider a separate entity from the Shadow Pony, it just doesn't fit all the way through. It feels like they were missing a major element of this episode to make it really click. But that is our review of the season finale. Stick tap, ting tong tori! And with that, the season finale being ended and our reviews being ended, we'll be going over our top 3 favorite episodes and top 3 worst episodes this season as follow-up videos to this. And that will be all of the My Little Pony content for Season 7 that we have in store. But for now, we shall call this review done. In this season, done. So, until next time, farewell, everyone.